Alright, what's up guys? So in today's video, we're going to be talking all about Masteries, specifically for the Abyss, which you want to be running. I'm not going to be giving out like full of a Mastery set guides for each and every tree and like do this for this path, blah blah blah. I'm just talking about general advice and what you want to do for most fights, because a lot of stuff is common sense. If you're using a Mystic Champ and fighting a Cosmic Champ, you probably want Mystic Dispersion, right? But I have two really important tips that we're going to start this video off with. These are the two masteries I suggest always having maxed when you're running Abyss, no matter what, and they're just so good, cheap, cost-effective masteries, which you wouldn't expect. I forgot to turn off my notifications. Some hockey stuff. And the first one is Courage. So maxed out Courage is just so good in the Abyss. So if we take a look at Courage here, for 3 points you get 20% attack rating when below 50% health. And in the Abyss, for pretty much every fight aside from the Collector, you don't typically heal up. So you just pop a revive, go in, a 40% revive, and 40% is less than 50%. So you're getting a free 20% attack. That's like having a max attack boost on. So that is just great. Such a good mastery to be running in the Abyss. Highly recommend. And the second best underrated weird mastery that you should run in the Abyss is Limber. So 5 out of 5 Limber, max Limber out. You can lower the stun by 48%. And basically in the Abyss, if the opponent just touches you, there's a chance to be stunned. And if you get hit with a special attack, it's guaranteed to stun you. So having Limber just makes you recover quicker from the stun, and it can just save you so many revives, so many units. You can just get an extra damage. It's a lifesaver. I honestly can't tell you how many times when I did the Abyss, Limber would save me. I'd just be like, thank God for Limber. Like I said it that in stream so many times. And yeah, so massive shout out to Hector for thinking about this. He actually suggested it on Seaton's first stream for the Collector, and I ended up, when I did Abyss, I just maxed it out and ran it all the time. And dude, yes, if you're doing Abyss, run Limber maxed. Those two masteries, just so good in the Abyss. Now, of course, if you're using a Mystic Champion, you're going to be wanting to run Mystic Dispersion probably. How much Mystic Dispersion? It depends. For Doom, I would run 4 out of 5, which is the most that I have unlocked. If you're running, let's say, it depends who and what you're running, what fight you're doing. For example, if you're running Dr. Voodoo and you're doing Venom the Duck, you might only want like 1 point in Mystic Dispersion because you nullify so many buffs. You don't want to get pushed to an L3. You want to just keep getting those L1s. So it really depends. You got to use your own discretion for Mystic Dispersion, but it's very useful for the Mystic Champs and some of the Cosmic matchups. Petrify and Pacify, you can run. I don't think I use them too much. I used Petrify one time when I soloed Dormammu. If you guys caught that video, we sold Dormammu with Human Torch. We actually took off Dexterity for that fight, and I maxed out Petrify because basically how Petrify works is when you parry, you lower their power rate. So basically, I would stun, do a 3-hit combo, and with Petrify, I'd give him just less power. So it would just be maxed out 30%, so it's just less power while he's stunned. So less specials that I have to worry about baiting out on Dormammu. So this could apply for some fights for sure. I'm not sure how exactly this works when you're trying to reverse regen. I think it's actually negative when you're trying to reverse regen, because the way I think it works is, let's say the regen is 100%. When you stun them with 1 point here, you take it to 90%. So then when you're reversing it, you're only reversing the 90% and instead of reversing 100%. I'm not sure if that's how the math works or not. It's kind of weird. But when I try to reverse regen, I don't run Petrify. Willpower is definitely good if you're running Suicides or something. Unless you're running like Aegon, then technically you don't need Willpower. Same with Ghost. I like to just run Willpower maxed. For example, fighting Joe Fixit. You get debuffs on you. You can kind of heal up with Aegon even. Just back up. You can get some free healing. on Havoc. Willpower is huge. Healing from his plasma is great. I'd advise always just 1 point willpower if you can. Resonate is a tremendous mastery for the Abyss. I was just running it some paths when I didn't even need it, because you apply a weakness debuff to your opponent and reduces their attack by 7%. So, you know, that just lowers the damage if you accidentally get hit, just on block damage, on parry damage. Just having a weakness debuff on the opponent just helps out, you know. And Resonate can also be really good if you're trying to reverse regen or negate regen, because if you pair Resonate with Despair, you lower the opponent's healing for each debuff. So it can pair really well with that. For Void, Resonate is tremendous. If you're running Void in the Abyss, I highly recommend using Resonate. There's also Inequity, which passively reduces enemy attack by 2% for each debuff they are currently suffering from. So this is also great for Void, you know. And if you're stacking up debuffs with like Human Torch, this can also be great. That's what I like to run. Stand Your Ground is alright. I think it's actually a pretty underrated mastery just in general. You know, if you slip up, you accidentally take an opponent's heavy to the face, you can resist it. As far as the other masteries go here, block proficiency, always max this mastery no matter what. And recovery, I usually just max that. You could run some Science Serum if you're fighting like Dormammu, but if you take off Dex, you don't really have to worry about the degen. I think I also used Energy Resistance for fighting like Darkhawk when I would parry his L1 to just reduce some of the damage with Human Torch. And then we get to the offensive tree, the most important mastery tree. So let's start from the left. So like I said, Courage, max this out always. Precision, you don't even need Precision if you're running Aegon. You can take all the points out of Precision. I would still max Cruelty. If you are running Aegon, which in the Abyss, you probably should be running Aegon. He's the MVP of the Abyss for sure. So hopefully you have him. And if not, I hope you pull him. Hector, I'm talking to you, buddy. And MSD as well. Hope you guys get an Aegon. But these Fury Masteries are actually super duper good with Aegon. So yeah, if you're running Aegon, take the points out of Precision, and if you can't spare the points, take them out of Precision and put them into Extend Fury. So increase the duration of your Champion's Fury buff by 0.2 seconds. At max, it's 0.8 seconds, and that doesn't sound like a lot, but with Aegon, how you get off the max damage is you charge a heavy, the opponent comes at you, damage is capped, so it doesn't matter. You also have an unstoppable, so you attack them, but then you get a bunch of Furies, and these Furies raise your attack by an absurd amount of damage, and having these Extend Fury Masteries just makes those Furies last long enough to get in like another combo. Like in 0.8 seconds, you can do like a whole combo. Like, that doesn't sound like a lot, but in a fight, that is. And you can just get off so much more damage. It's so noticeable with Aegon. It is crazy. If you have extra points, I also advise just maxing out this Fury too. It just makes your Furies a bit more potent, which helps out. Despair. Despair is so big in the Abyss for some matchups, like Deadpool. If you're going to be using Human Torch, which I just have gotten confirmation from a video that a 4-star Human Torch can actually do Deadpool in the Abyss. So everybody who doesn't have a Human Torch as a 5 or 6-star that's worried, dude, you can do it with a 4-star. So fear not. But you need Despair maxed if you're going to do that with Human Torch at any star level. You want to max out Despair, and I also advise running Resonate because it's just an extra debuff. And so basically how Resonate works is for each debuff on the opponent, it lowers healing by 15%, and this can go into the negatives. So this is how you can start getting some reversing going. Despair with Human Torch, Captain America Infinity War, Void is just such a tremendous mastery in the Abyss for so many fights. Gladiator, Hulk, Darkhawk, Deadpool, Cable. There's so many fights where you want to be reversing that regen, and Despair is such an important mastery. Unphased is actually quite a underrated mastery, I'd say. I can see here I don't have it unlocked. If I did have it unlocked, I would run it. Basically how this mastery works is when the opponent evades, you have a chance to go unstoppable. That's pretty much the basics of it. So, you know, in Evade, the Abyss Evade is super annoying. You know, it can really screw you up. So if you go unstoppable, it can kind of save you. So I would run this mastery if I had it unlocked, but I don't. But yeah, that'd be a good pickup for the Abyss. As far as deep wounds go, again, depends who you're running. Some of the notifications, guys, I meant to turn those off. But yeah, deep wounds. If you're running Nick Fury, obviously you want to have these maxed. I also like having them maxed with Aegon if I can. You can get that bleed ticking for like 8k bleed. I could get them ticking for on the collector, and that put in work with deep wounds. So much extra damage. Assassin, I advise putting just 1 point into Assassin if you can. And then of course we get to the Suicide Masteries, the biggest damage output masteries that you can get. And of course it depends who you're running. If you're running Dr. Doom, don't run Suicides. If you're running Human Torch, you probably don't want to be running Suicides. But if you're just running Aegon, man, dude, go for it. Run those full Suicides and you will just do insane amount. If you have Suicides, Courage, and these Fury Masteries and Deep Wounds, bro, and you're below 50% health, you just hit so hard. And with those Furies, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So yeah, it really depends which champions you're using for what masteries you should be running. But I hope I gave a good enough explanation for what masteries you want to be using with which champions. And yeah, no matter who you're using, max your courage, max your limber. It's going to really help you. That's going to do it for this mastery video for Abyss. I hope you guys did enjoy. Like I said, I can't give you just a concrete build because it totally depends who you're using, which part of Abyss you're in. Like even for each path, I can't give you a mastery setup for each path because I would change my masteries like 2 to 5 times per path. I'd be changing my masteries. I probably spent like 500 to 1,000 units just on changing my masteries throughout the Abyss 100%. A lot of units went to just changing up the build all the time. So it really depends. You gotta use some of your own discretion, but I hope you enjoyed the tips in this video. Drop a thumbs up if you learned something new. Subscribe if you like to see more content. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.